check it. 2022 Multistrada V4s. Let's go, baby. This is only my second ride on the Multistrada. Picked it up on Wednesday, it's now Saturday, and as per usual it is pissed down here in Sydney for the whole week, and as you can see the roads are slippery, shiny on a Saturday morning. We've got 3 hours of forecast sunshine before the rains come back, so I'm hitting the hills in the brand new Multistrada with very green tyres. So I just have to be a little careful with these very green tyres, but let me assure you of one thing. Even at these speeds, this bike is a whole lot of fun. I did a heap of research before I sold the Honda Africa Twin, the 21 ES DCT Africa Twin. That bike turned out to be a very focused off-road bike. That bike would kill this one off-road, but I do most of my riding on-road. I thought that if I bought that bike I might get a bit more adventurous, but you know, time, place and circumstances didn't really happen. Still a great bike, and there will be full reviews of that coming. However, for my style of riding, the Multistrada made a lot more sense, and I did a lot of research on this bike. So, but consider this. Whoa, Jesus, hey! Consider this a first ride review, if you like, of the Multi. I took it out yesterday morning and had a blast on it. It was just wicked. When I took it back from the dealer, by the way, I got caught in an absolute torrential storm. So my very first ride of it, I just basically shat myself for about 40 minutes trying to get the bike home. It was absolute, like, full-on storm conditions. Couldn't see more than 2 or 3 meters in front of me, riding through flash flooding. But yeah, took it out yesterday morning, had an absolute blast on it. It's hard to put your finger on why it's so much fun. It's a combination of things. The seating position is sublime. Oh god, it's good. It's so comfortable. You can either sit up like this, you slouch back, you know, standing position, whatever you decide to do. Its ergonomics are just superb. The throttle response is excellent. I've got it on sport mode. The other mode, the urban mode, for example, where it's on its low power, was great for the rain, the stormy ride home from the dealer, but pretty anemic. I had an enduro, did a little bit of off-road yesterday, and that worked really well. But for road riding, sport's where it's at. I've got the front suspension on firmest, and I've got the rear suspension on medium, and I've got the leveling on auto. And I am going to take it for a 2-up test ride later. It is, I haven't really yet had, I mean, I've hardly ridden it right. I've done 114 kilometres, so this really is first impressions. Very pokey, very responsive, without being outrageously superbike fast. The 19-inch wheel you don't really notice, I have to say, and I can compare that directly to the 21-inch wheel on the Honda. At really low speeds, like when you're bumper to bumper, on the Honda it was really hard to control at super low speeds. This is really easy. You can come to a complete standstill with your feet up on the pegs, no problem. Loving the short gearing. I reckon for touring on the motorway, look, that potentially might be an issue, but for this style of riding, being able to go up and down through the gears and engage with the bike as such is great. It's just been raining, so there's new potholes everywhere. The conditions here are fucking horrible, and of course I'm on green tyres, so I've just got to be mindful of that. But yeah, so the gearing is short, much shorter than anything else I have in my garage or have probably ever ridden, which makes for an engaging ride at street speeds and twisties. I don't know how that will translate to the open road, but of course there's lots of reviews saying that it's awesome on the open road, so I'm sure it is. These potholes up here, holy shit. Although on this bike, not a problem. In fact, I went pothole hunting yesterday and did not have any issues either finding them or navigating them. Few people on the forums, I was reading the forum this morning, were talking about the surging throttle or fueling between 4 and 6,000. I haven't noticed it in any gear. Mind you, this is a brand new bike, and the ECU update is probably more recent, because I also noticed people whinging about the heated grips being hard to turn on and off. Well, on this bike it's one switch. It's really simple. So I think there have been some subtle changes made in 22 based on my YouTube viewing and my experience of this bike. The other thing that is worth mentioning is I was a little worried. Some people on YouTube talked about the engine braking being a bit intrusive and not being adjustable. I find it perfect. It's really good, really, really good. And no, I wouldn't want to adjust it even if I could. It's perfect. It's not too intrusive. It seems intelligent. And on the Honda, even on its lowest setting, I found the engine braking very intrusive. This not the case. The braking, there have been some people a bit ho-hum about the braking. My early first impressions are it's really good. Really, really good. With the Honda, again, that was a weak point of the Honda. When you hit the brakes, there wasn't a lot of activity. This is steeper and twistier than you think around here, and it's super slippery. So first impressions are awesome. When I got off the bike yesterday after my first real ride on it, I was just smiling ear to ear. It was just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And it does some awesome wheelies. If you just, and it's all throttle based. If you just give the throttle a quick, in second gear, a quick pump and hold it open, the front will lift up beautifully. You get some really fun, super fun wheelies. And the wind protection is excellent. It's better than the Honda again. The screen's a bit shorter, but not as much buffeting. Feel a little bit more around my arms, but in terms of the buffeting up top, it's really, really good. Here we go.
Morning.
Good morning. Good, how are you?
Very good indeed. I love the Brembos. God, they're good. I love them. I have them on a few cars, and
Yeah, they're great, aren't they?
they really are.
Yeah, they work well on the big bike. Nice fellow, and nice views. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous around here. I don't normally come this direction. In fact, I've never come this direction. Oh, actually, maybe once. Seems to be a bit more technical in this direction. Although that's more likely the road surface. Beautiful. Not. Yeah, so the wind protection is excellent. I find the screen, the shape of the screen gives you good visibility over it, whereas the Honda could often be right in your view, the top of the screen. And seems to work well even at motorway speeds. The quick shifter is definitely the best Ducati quick shifter I've used, and probably a little bit better than the Aprilia Tuono quick shifter, but not quite as good as the BMW, but very, very good. Especially down. The downshifts are brilliant. The exhaust sound is not as loud as I expected a Ducati to sound. All of my Panigales and Monsters stock exhausts have been really good. This one's a bit quiet. I've got the Aprilia slip-on. And that doesn't add much, to be honest. I don't think. But it looks good, and when you open it up above, I think it's 5,500 or something, there's a nice low grumble that comes from the V4. But this style of bike, which is more for long distance riding, I suppose you probably don't want a really loud system on it. Suspension settings I've got to really play around with and work out what I like, but the aforementioned settings I have seem to work quite well. It's a little lumpy in the front because I've got it on the firmest setting in the front at the moment. Very good feedback. The most notable feature of this bike when I was out yesterday in far drier conditions, momentarily at least, than this, was the handling. The machine handles, I mean, it handles like a sports bike, if not better. Its handling is excellent. Turning is excellent. Holds the line beautifully. The leveraging on these bars is amazing. And if I was to identify the one standout feature of this bike, that would be it, the handling. Why did I sell the Honda for this? Well, the Honda, if I'm really brutally honest, I just found it a bit boring on the road. I'm sure off-road riders would say it's an excitement machine, but on the road it wasn't. It didn't inspire me to get on it. And when you wanted to have a spirited ride on it, you could if you want to take some risks. If you're a really good rider, of course, any bike you can. But as Joe Average Punter, the reward for effort wasn't there, not compared to this. Yes, so I wanted to get a two-up touring long distance, dirt track style bike that had fun factor, that you could ride like a sports bike on a nice dry day. And that was not the Honda, and it was really down to this and the KTM. I'll be honest, I didn't ride the KTM, and I just don't really like them. I never have. These bush turkeys, they're a problem. They're a menace. I've been searching for the ultimate Ducati. I do like Ducati as a brand, and I like the more recent innovation. And I've owned a few of them, but I've never stuck with one because I've fallen out of love. But I've wanted to love a Ducati, and I think this might be the one that I can love. Because so far, it's awesome. Fourth gear is a beauty. You can pretty much short shift into fourth, and then you don't really have to change at these sort of moderate speeds. You can just use fourth gear all the time. That said, the gearbox is so addictive, you just want to ride up and down. I test rode the GS 1250, and look, I only test rode it for a short period of time. I test rode it for like, I don't know, less than an hour. And I'm gonna piss a lot of people off here, I know, but I didn't like the look of it. I didn't like the feel of it. I didn't like anything about it. It felt like a bucket of bones. It felt so old, like, I don't know, agricultural. Obviously for long distance cruising and off-road, its credentials are well established, but man, for a short test ride, and I know that's ridiculous, sort of basis for riding off a bike. I'm not riding it off, but my first impressions on that bike, I did not like it. I didn't like the torque delivery, the way the throttle responded. I really disliked it. I kept banging my shin on the box of cylinder casing. It was not for me. I couldn't wait to get off it. The reason my test drive was so short was I just wanted to get off it. For me, if you're on two wheels, you've got to have fun at your fingertips always. And that BMW, and I love BMWs, I've had a heap of them, that BMW did not offer me the instantaneous fun that I was looking for. And they, obviously it's got more torque than this apparently down low. I can't remember the numbers, to be honest, but I know it does, but I didn't feel it. People who have reviewed this bike say it's a bit sluggish down low. I don't know, it's got that sort of elastic torque, almost like a turbocharged car engine feel about it. Which I really, really like, and the torque delivery on the GS didn't have that for mine. But I like that sort of slightly laggy, elastic torque delivery that the Tuono and the Ducati both offer. So yeah, the Honda Africa Twin, great machine for off-roading. BMW, more of an all-rounder, but I just didn't engage with it as much. This, clearly more road focused. We can do the off-roading that I'm going to want to do, and just more engaging, more my style of riding. This new bike, the engine only revs to about 10,000, 10,500, whatever. But the torque through the mid-range is so spicy, it doesn't really matter. People have described this as a, comfortable sports bike. I'm not sure I'd go that far, mainly because of the engine. Sports bikes have got a ripping high end, rev to 14, 15, 16,000. This does not do that, so I would not describe this as a comfortable adventure sports bike, nor would I describe it as a dirt bike on steroids. This is its own thing. Yes, it's in the adventure bike class, and yes, Ducati have made it more of an adventure bike with the 9-inch front wheel and other things. It's not as serious as other Ducatis, such as the Street Fighter. That's a very serious bike. This is a fun character. This would be an educated middle-aged, successful entrepreneur who's a ratbag outside of work. Yeah, that's the sort of personality of this bike, and one should not judge a book by its cover. Speaking of looks, Jesus, I wouldn't be riding like that. Speaking of looks, I love the look of this. In the flesh, it's superb. Took a wicked photograph yesterday of it. I reckon it looks excellent up here, actually, which I will share with you. But I think it looks excellent. It's got a heap of presence. It looks like a really high-end premium vehicle, and in the flesh there's something really present about it. It does not look like an old man adventure bike. BMW GS holds the line through the corners absolutely beautifully. You don't realise the speed you're doing on this because you're such a capable cruiser that you're kind of going a lot faster than you realise. Whereas on the Tuono, often you're actually going slower than you think. And I dare say that's partly due to the upright sitting position, wind protection, etc. on this. Bit of a growl when you open up that throttle. I really like the positioning of the bars. They're not, I've got a nice bend on my elbows. They're not too high. They're actually perfect for me. I'm, 6'3", 6'4", whatever. But these are perfect for me. I've got the seating position, I think, in the low mode at the moment, and the reason I've done that is because it offers more wind protection in the low mode.
Those contact traces. From last Thursday to this Monday, there's been some more exposure. I'm your premier, your guy, and it's time for more disclosure. Uptown, downtown, or anywhere around town, the hallway store, the shopping mall, see Jesus in the town hall. Lifting weights or eating cake, attending Mr. Jones's wake to the institute. Did you touch the fruit? See your local prostitute. A manicure, a puma, so you super glad that he's no cure to the sea. Oh, VID, you're a soup spreader. Never felt better. You're a soup spreader. You're a soup spreader. You're a soup spreader. You've never felt better. You're a soup spreader.
So first impressions of the 2022 Multistrada V4s. It's an excellent vehicle, and it does offer that fun factor. It does offer versatility. I love the safety features, this rear radar in particular, blind spot detection. I mean, every time I get on a bike from here on in, I'll be looking for that, and of course it won't be there if I'm not on this. And you know, that needs to be a feature of every bike here on in. It is magnificent. It's very addictive, actually. The whole riding experience on this machine is addictive, and I love that. That's why we love our motorcycles. Two-wheel enthusiasts love the feeling that motorcycles give you, and this one gives you all of those feelings in spades. It's safe, it's comfortable, it's fast, it handles really well, it's engaging, it's fun. My early impressions are it's the do-it-all Swiss Army knife machine. Jesus. Ooh. Underestimated the shortness of the gearing on this, and the back end got a little sideways in this very moist atmosphere. Nice little compartment for my keys. The filler-up test. What are the filler-upable skill sets of this beast? I assume we're 98. I don't actually know, but okay, no spillage. That's great. So what's the fuel range like with pretty much exclusively inner city riding? About 250 kilometers. So yeah, 250 out of the first tank. So I expect probably 250, 300 out of a tank, which is plenty. Unless I'm riding to the middle of Australia, which I probably will, you know, on this bike, and that will be a different story, but we'll worry about that a little later. It's got a really neat roar when you open her up above 5,000 RPM. Quite addictive and not intrusive at all. I quite like the stock sound now. I'm getting sort of my ears are dialing in. You can hear all the induction noises up front. What's the filtering like? I've got the bags on the back. Well, because the bike is so super stable at low speeds, that makes the filtering a hell of a lot easier, and it's got a great agile feel to it.
Not safe behind your perspective, not effective. Man who covers ground